just showered me and told me how much he loved me. I believed it immediately, and I loved it. It felt good.
So, doing a one-time film or something like that would be a lot of money. This was somebody I really trusted.
The stuff that men can do as far as to break down your emotional and mental security, they prey on building up the wrong things about you.
Human trafficking. It just sounds dirty. It sounds seedy. It definitely sounds like something that polite people don't talk about in mixed company. But I think that's what's allowed this to go on for so long. I think this is a topic we need to drag kicking and screaming into the light. This is something that has to be discussed. Today, current estimates put the number of slaves in the world at 21 to 30 million, more than any other time in history, and way more than there should be 150 plus years after they were declared free. Why have we not been able to talk about this until now? Why is this a topic that we just don't discuss? What makes it taboo? Is it because it's something we don't fully understand? Is it because a lot of times these people are trafficked for the purposes of sex, that word we don't even like to say in mixed company? Is that what's kept this in the dark for so long? It's a way bigger issue than that. You see, we've been wired by our culture to believe that human trafficking is just not something that we talk about. Well, it's time for a rewire. Human trafficking is generally defined as victims who are being forced to perform labor or sex acts by means of fraud, coercion, or any other manipulation.
He was talking to me and said, I heard that you were getting into pornography. And I said, no, that's nothing I've done. I'm not even considering that. And he's like, oh, well, that's good. But then all of a sudden he said, if you decide to, then I know somebody, because I want you to feel protected. And I want to make sure, because it's a really dangerous world. And I was like, I'm not interested. I've already told you that's not something I'm even thinking about. But if you do, I know you want to go back to school, and I know that, you're only making X amount of dollars. So, doing a one-time film or something like that would be a lot of money, and it would be like one time. And I just, this was somebody I really trusted. And again, I had somebody in my life that was making something that's a huge deal and a huge life-changing decision. Not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's not, it's quick money. And I couldn't get over the fact that I was hearing this come from somebody that I'd spent so many years with.
Second only to drug trafficking, human trafficking makes over $32 billion a year for the people involved in this industry. It's big business. It's easier to traffic a human because they're not consumed like drugs are. If I traffic drugs to you, you use drugs, I don't have any more drugs until I go out and find more. If I traffic a person to you, you use that person, they come back to me. I can traffic them again, again, and again. It is a long time before they're used up. Saying that just turns my stomach. That someone's daughter, somebody's son, can be trafficked like a drug, used up like a drug, and given back and reused over and over again as if they're some commodity, it just makes me ill. But this is the business of human trafficking. This is why it's difficult to talk about, because these aren't polite conversations. But this is not a polite business. See, being trafficked is just what life becomes like for a lot of these victims. It's their normal, so to speak. And when it's something you're doing day in and day out, it's not long before it becomes normal. And we forget sometimes our normal is broken. Sometimes our normal is completely abnormal. And when you're trafficked day in and day out, it's not long before you realize this is just life for me. This is just what it is. And really, in the middle of it, I'm just helping my boyfriend, is what a lot of these victims tell us. You see, they're not loaded up in a U-Haul. They're befriended by somebody who offers them a better life, who offers them a way out, who offers them anything in the world just so that they will come and sit with them, come and spend some time with them, come and get to know them. And then the manipulation and coercion begins. And then they're groomed into a lifestyle that they never saw coming.
For my case, it was that dream to become like a model or a star. I started with like a legitimate agency, pursuing acting and modeling, something that I'd kind of started when I was younger. And so what happens is these guys prey on that. They prey on making you into something bigger, because apparently who you are is not enough. And so I had started working at a local restaurant that I thought was okay, and then I went from there to modeling in local bars, and still thinking I was just modeling, but I was modeling stuff that they were supposed to buy their wives to take home, and that's where he would hang out, is at those shows. He would start with having you model in front of cars, in front of bikes and stuff like that, and then they would just kind of increase the amount of money. They also knew that I drank and I was underage to drink, so that was kind of a lure to get me into the clubs and get me drugs and alcohol and kind of make me feel like a star. And then they just keep going bigger and bigger. They keep upping the money, they keep upping the alcohol, and the status. They start treating you like you have drivers, and you go to these house parties and you meet these people that are like celebrities and stuff like that, and they kind of present a life to you that makes your old life seem kind of just Even when I pictured trafficking sex, that it was something that was through abuse and physical intimidation. And one thing that I've learned just in all of my relationships, my past relationships, was abuse is just far beyond physical. The stuff that men can do as far as to break down your emotional and mental security, that leads you to accepting any type of physical abuse because you just don't feel worth anything anymore. Those are the kinds of things that you see in the industry. They prey on building up the wrong things about you. And so they dangle these carrots in front of you of, don't you want your life to look like this? Or don't you want to become more like her? Or like I had an agent who, even though he wasn't making money off of me anymore, like he could still show other girls that he was luring into prostitution, escorting, and pornography. He would show them pictures of my life that made it look glamorous.
You see, when someone enters human trafficking, it just becomes their normal. However dysfunctional that is for us from the outside looking in, they tell me when you're in the middle of it, living it, that's just life. And you do what you have to do to get by. And you realize later the damage that's been done to you. But you're coerced and manipulated into this lifestyle. You see, these girls aren't loaded into a panel truck. They're befriended by a boyfriend a lot of times. And they don't have to go downtown and find these girls standing on the street corner. New research is telling us too many times they're finding them online. When these girls are safe inside their homes, they're chatting online, they're posting online about how miserable their lives are. And when you think that the average person enters human trafficking at 13 to 14 years old, that's when most everybody's life is pretty miserable. Those are my middle school years, and that's not a year that I would like to repeat anytime soon. But it's one sentence in my larger story. Maybe it wasn't a great sentence for some people, but some people can't see that there is an end to the middle school days. And so with social media, they're allowed to share this angst. They're allowed to talk about how their parents don't understand them, how they're so restricted. And then a new friend online comes in and starts telling them how pretty they are. Starts telling them how if you were my daughter, if you were my girlfriend, I would treat you better than them. I would allow you this, I would allow you that. You can drink with me. I'd rather you drink with me than out with other people and be dangerous. They offer them whatever these girls want to get out of whatever they're struggling with. Or maybe life at home is great. Maybe there's not much of a struggle. But maybe I send a new pic to my new boyfriend. And it's a pic that my parents wouldn't be real proud of. And now he tells me if I don't do more for him, that pic might be released. and then my parents find out. And I can't have that. See, that's coercion. And that's what will get people to do pretty much what you want them to do, because they're afraid that what they did in the dark is going to come out into the light. So they'll do anything to keep that from happening. Welcome to the world of human trafficking. You see, my boyfriend promises me a way out, promises me that nobody will ever know. And I'm manipulated and coerced into a lifestyle where I start doing favors for him. I start meeting up with some of his buddies. Maybe I start dancing. I start doing lots of different things because we need to make a little bit of money if we're going to get out of this life, if we're going to make sure that these pics never see the light of day. You see, we're in this together. We're a team. I don't realize, though, that he's got other girlfriends that are doing favors for him and his buddies. I think I'm his only one. I think he's my way out. I think he's my protector. And so I enter this world that I would have never envisioned myself being in. And I'm trafficked. And I don't even realize it until later. And you need to understand that this is not just an inner city issue. This is not a big school issue. This is not a big city problem. Victims and traffickers cross all socioeconomic categories. It can be in the high-end neighborhoods, it can be in the low-end neighborhoods, and everything in between. And I start doing this for my boyfriend because he's promising me a way out. And I enter this lifestyle that I didn't see coming. And when she starts working for him, she's just stepped into the wormhole of human trafficking, and it only leads down. And she's been wired by this guy to believe this is what girls do. This is what girlfriends do. It's just a short-time thing. It's not forever. Baby, I'm going to get us out of this. She's been wired to believe that's normal. She desperately needs a rewire.
I was approached by a guy, 6'8", blue eyes, and he showed me pictures of his house in Florida and the cars and told me that I would never have to work again, that he would take care of me and my daughter. I said, okay. And I married him. I didn't even know him for 2 months. I married him at the courthouse. And then things changed quickly. My new husband knew how to work computers very well, and he created email accounts in my parents' name and in my cousin's name. And I was reading these emails from my parents and from my cousin that stated my life was out of control and they're praying for me, but there's nothing else they can do, that they believe this man is the best thing that ever happened to me, and I need to listen to him, and that they're done with me. And I believed that those emails were from them. So I thought that I had no family anymore. I thought no one loved me. There wasn't escape. I was in, and he told me that. He said, you married me, I own you now. He kept me up at night and woke me up very early in the morning. I was allowed to sleep 3 hours a night. He didn't let me eat. I was allowed to eat one small meal a day. I was 94 pounds. So I was really tired to fight. And he took me to a club in Canton, Ohio. He told me that I would be waitressing. So I went in as a waitress, and I had never even been in a strip club before. So it was very, very odd. I was very uncomfortable. I had my tray, and it was very slow. It was about 6 o'clock at night, and I thought, okay, this is how slow it will be all of the time. And everyone was so nice to me. The door girl was nice to me, management, everyone, the bartenders, the other dancers, the DJ. And a few hours into my night, I had only made $7. And everyone kept convincing me how easy it would be just to get on stage and how much money I'd make each time I got up there, and I didn't even have to do anything. And I said, no. And so I was in the dressing room, and they gave me an outfit, and they said, just try it on, just try on the shoes. And I said, okay, and I tried it on, and then they said, you'll go down these stairs and just play around. And this other girl said, I'll go with you. I'll stay with you the whole time. Nobody's in the club. There was one guy in the club. They said, we'll just have fun. And so I went down the stairs, went on the stage with her, And the second song switched over, and I wasn't even really dancing. I was just kind of there, uncomfortable, and I kept telling her, I don't know how to dance like that. I don't want to do this. I just want to put my other outfit back on. And the second song, they said, okay, now you have to take off your top. And I said, no. And I went for the stairs down to the club floor. And the DJ and the bouncer blocked it and blocked my exit way. They said, if you get down, it's our butt. And if it's our butt, it's your butt. And she pulled me back up. And then maybe a half hour later, my new husband showed up with a brand new pair of shoes and an outfit. So apparently that was his plan all along. I didn't know then that the reason the girls and the managers were nice were because they all wanted me. I was property, and they were fighting over me, and I didn't know it. Immediately. So being on my own, what I wanted most was someone to share life with, someone to love me and support me, be there to share life with. So when someone came along who said, I really love you and I really care about you and I'm going to be here, and told me how beautiful I was. I had never cut my hair. My hair was waist length. I had never dyed it. I wasn't very good at makeup. I never did my nails. And he did all those things. He took me to the hair salon and took me to the nail salon, got me good makeup, different clothes, new clothes, just showered me and told me how much he loved me. I believed it immediately, and I loved it. It felt good. So from Canton, we soon went to Pittsburgh, Columbus, Charlotte, North Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida, Orlando, Clearwater, St. Pete, Tampa, and back around the loop again, back between Charlotte and all over Florida, constantly moving. I would always be watched. He knew exactly how much money I was making every moment, and I had to call. He did give me a cell phone, but he checked it, so I was only allowed to call him, and I had to call every hour on the hour or I would get in trouble. I know one night I ran out of the house and I tried to get in my car. He took my keys. This was like the first time he really showed his true colors. My face was unrecognizable after that night. So for 2 weeks, I couldn't leave the house. But he did have the DJ from the club come to the house with some friends and some other male staff from the club and called me downstairs. And he said, see, this is what happens when you act like a dumb hoe. You get treated like a dumb hoe. To embarrass me and to show me that he wasn't the only one, that they had his back. Working in the clubs, I saw so many different scenarios, so many different girls from so many different walks of life. Human trafficking is not a one-size-fits-all. There are so many different scenarios, so many different ways to become involved. There are just so many things that happen behind the scenes in the clubs that you don't realize. It's a pack of wolves in there. If you are blackmailed, I understand the shame that comes along with that, the guilt that comes along with that. But regardless, I mean, it's okay to tell somebody, whether it be a parent, a teacher, a youth leader, a friend, and tell somebody, because it spirals out of control so quickly. The manipulation is key to them being successful in trafficking.
Hi, my name is Ked Frank, and I'm the Director of Refuge for Women. We work with survivors of human trafficking and sexual exploitation. This lesson that you have heard is presented for two reasons. The first reason is that we want you to be safe and recognize the signs of dangerous situations. Things are not always as they appear, and many young ladies have been deceived into thinking that an individual was going to help them when in all actuality, it was just the opposite. The second reason is that we want some of you to get a heart for this issue of human trafficking and to help do something about it. We want to end human trafficking in our generation, and you can help us do just that. Whether we are helping raise awareness of the issue or doing an internship working with victims, there are many ways that you can get involved. As you move into your groups, you'll be discussing more information about human trafficking and specific ways to get involved.